Probably the most common is difference in desire for sex. So a couple will come along where one person in the couple wants to be having a lot more sex than the other one does. And this is something that happens quite naturally in most relationships. I think most of us, when we start out in a relationship, tend to have a great sex life, having sex all the time. And then when people have been together for a few years, that naturally dies down. And that's fine if both people are happy with that, but the problem occurs if one person still wants to be having a lot more sex than the other. So one of the main issues that couples come with is, well, how do we reconcile this? Are we sexually compatible? Probably the second biggest issue would be erectile dysfunction, so men struggling with their erections. And premature ejaculation as well is a big one for men. And again, with that, so much of it's around reassuring people that they're normal. I think people get their ideas of what sex should be like from Hollywood films, from pornography, and they have very unrealistic expectations about sex. And so a lot of the work's really about reassuring them that actually what they're experiencing is what most other people experience. All of us can expect at some point in our lives to have some difficulty with our sex lives, and yet we somehow imagine that the rest of the world is not having any difficulty at all. I think part of it's cultural. I think sex is something we just don't speak about in our culture. It's taboo. One of the things I do with clients is take a history, and we always look at whether their parents talked to them about sex, how they learnt about sex. And most people in this country, I find, their parents have skirted around the subject. They've never really been comfortable with sex themselves, and so they haven't been able to talk to their children about sex. So as the child's growing up and going through puberty, starting to experiment sexually, they're not getting any input about what's okay, and so there's a lot of shame around sex, and I think we really carry that around with ourselves culturally. So we don't feel it's something that we can speak about. We don't feel it's something that we can even talk to our partners about. And a lot of couples come into therapy and they have never discuss some of the most basic things about sex with each other. They don't actually know each other's sexual preferences and what they like, and so a lot of the work there is just about taking the shame away and making sex something normal that we all do.